Hi. So I wanted to do this video on jumping timelines because I think that it's really helpful for us to talk about, and it's really not that out there, and we're all doing it all the time. I like to talk about things in a practical sense and why they are important on a practical sense. Like, why should I care about jumping timelines? Like, is it going to help my life? So I did write down some stuff about quantum physics, because a lot of the information it comes from quantum physics, but I don't actually study physics, so I'm really only bringing it up here and there because a lot of people would like to know that something is scientifically based or accepted by science. It helps people to believe it more and use it more. So if that's the case, then, and that if it'll help some people, then that's good. And you could look up more about quantum physics, but I am not the person to ask. So in quantum physics, it talks about how more than one reality exists, which is hard to get our mind around. We all talk about if you're spiritual, a lot of things you talk about is how we're infinite, how space and time don't exist, how everything's happening in the now moment. But what does that actually mean? So basically, it's in quantum physics that in each decision you make, a whole world is spun off and created based on each decision that could have been made and different probabilities. So I was thinking about this before, if I ordered coffee and I ordered a iced coffee instead of a hot coffee. Now, this seems not that big of a deal of a decision, but you can look at it and you can say okay, on this timeline I chose an iced coffee. But if I chose the hot coffee and just by chance I tripped on something and the coffee spilled on somebody and created 30-degree burns and I had to deal with that situation, then you could say that small decision is actually it actually has more weight to it than you might think. But then there's the obvious ones that have a lot of weight to it, which is something like if you're deciding if you're gonna leave the person you're with or not. So that is, to me, more clear that, okay, if I do this, then that creates a whole different world with different decisions that I make in each moment, versus if I stay and creates its own world and I do this in each moment and make these decisions based on staying. So basically that's to say that the timeline where you are living your best life exists already. So once you know that, what I started doing is picturing myself zoning out of this reality that I'm focused in, because if all of these things are happening, that means that these different realities are happening, but I'm just focused right now on this one. So they're all happening, but my focus is on this one. So that's why it means so much to me. It matters so much to me. But really, if you zone out and look at things from a bigger perspective, that means that there are multiple realities going on. And our job is to hone in on the one where we're living our best life, where we have an abundance of money, where we are living the best career that is in alignment with our purpose, where we have found the partner of our dreams, etc., etc. So to me, this whole timeline conversation changed my life, because I know that version of my life exists somewhere, and so now it's about blending. Actually, not somewhere, it's happening right now. It's just that I'm focused on this one. So it exists right now, currently, in this now moment. It exists. Me as that person in those situations exists. So now the question is, how do I blend the two realities together, which is really, now we're talking about different practices to make ourselves happier in the moment, basically, if you want to get down to it. Because if you are happy in that reality, that you are living the dream, your life dream, then, and right now I'm not happy, the answer is, okay, now we have to change our vibration to match the person, the version of Samantha that is living in that life, so that these realities can blend together and then I can live that reality. So that's really the same, the answer to that is the same as every spiritual practitioner talks about. Like, you need to figure out your way of coming into alignment. And like I talked about in the other video, the other IGTV video I did, I talked about how, like, in a practical sense, what does it mean to be present? And that's like really what we're talking about here. In a practical sense, what does it mean to be happy here and now? Because you could sit and meditate for hours and then come out of it and then be triggered and then go off that onto those negative thoughts. So one of the answers is to really pay close attention to, in this moment, what do you feel? And that takes a lot of work. And that is why most people they're not living the reality on that best timeline. Because now that we're in this mess, it takes a lot of effort. And not in a negative way, because I like when we talk about like things are effortless, like effortless manifestation, but effort in the way that you need to really be focused on where your mind is at. Because like I said, I could do a whole meditation and I could do a whole yoga practice, and then I could come out of it and jump right back onto this timeline that I don't want to live in. Because that's what has been normalized for us. Like, it's normal to go back to these thoughts. It's more normal to come back to those triggers that have been living in our mind about how we're not good enough or we're not worthy of a better life, blah, 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 blah. It's easier to go back to that because these are now patterns that are like etched into our brain. And so I just wanted to talk about that, because when I always would hear about people jumping timelines, I'd be like, that sounds like a movie. But from a bird's eye view, you can imagine yourself in different situations because you're no longer in linear time. Like, oh, I'm here right now and I need to do this to feel better right now. Well, if you zone out, you can really bird's eye view all of these different versions of yourself that exist. And we all want to pick the version of ourselves that is happy to be in existence, that's happy to be alive right now and feeling like our purpose, we're serving our purpose in whatever way. Happy to be here for the changes that are occurring on Earth. Happy to be a part of structures breaking down and us rebuilding them. So it takes zoning out and thinking, okay, who am I in that best timeline? And then you need to blend the two together. So that's where the difficulties come about. So that's a little bit of what I've been thinking about. And I listen to a lot of different channels. I read, I listen to speakers that I resonate with. So that's like, we all, if you have internet, you have the ability to choose someone you resonate with that you feel knows more than you do to listen to and to learn from. And that is one of the greatest gifts of the internet, is you have all these things out here, and you can teach yourself anything. So yeah, that's basically it. I talked about in that other IGTV video about like how to actually become present, like different pointers. But I wrote down something because one time I was at a seminar and somebody came up to the podium and said that the greatest way that they've ever learned for them to be able to like raise their vibration is to say "wee" in their brain, like in their mind. And I actually wrote that down because that has worked for me for years. Like sometimes, like I'll literally, if I'm feeling like okay or down, I actually go "wee" in my mind and it works. So that's just something that I wrote down because that works for me. I am statements, so speaking it into existence, like I am worthy, I am abundant, I am financially free, I am living my purpose. So I am statements are awesome to do. I wrote down feeling your hands. That's another thing that Eckhart Tolle talks about. For some reason, for most people, it's, if you think about your hands right now, it's easier to feel the vibration in your hands for some people than a lot of other places in your body. Because when you'll get to a certain point where, I mean, I haven't yet, but you can feel any part of your body if you think about it. But for some reason, hands, you can feel the vibration more easily for some people. So feel your hands, meaning when you're doing that, you're now in the present moment. So that's a good way to get yourself in the present moment. And yeah, there's so many other things to talk about, but I just wanted to bring that up because it's been very interesting for me to understand that a little bit more. I have so much to understand, so much to learn, and that's what we're here to do. So, yeah.